Today, I'm going to be trying Delta Airlines first class for the very first time to see what it is really like. I'm going to be showing you everything that you need to know, from what the Delta Sky Club lounge is like, how the meals were, and overall what to expect from the seats and in-flight experience. Not only that, but we are going to be taking two separate first class flights on two completely different aircraft, so you can truly see what Delta has to offer. And also how much this entire experience ended up costing and if it was worth it. Today, things got started from Tampa International Airport, which is ranked one of the best in all of America. Good morning from beautiful Tampa Bay, Florida. It is currently 4 a.m. and today I'm gonna be flying first class, and I have never done it before in my entire life. We're also gonna be flying Delta, which I have never flown, so I am super excited to try them out. And on top of that, I'm also gonna be showing you guys the entire first class Delta lounge and the entire Tampa Bay airport, because apparently it is the #1 large airport in all of the United States. But the very first thing we need to do is actually check in, because I forgot to do it last night, so fingers crossed that everything goes smooth. Now when it comes to check-in, Delta offers it through these kiosks, where all you need to do is scan your passport, but things got off to a pretty poor start because I wasn't able to check in, and instead I was prompted to speak to an agent for further assistance. Because it was so early in the morning, the agents had yet to arrive, but soon enough they got on site to get the day started.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
There you go.
From Toronto?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any bags you're checking in?
No, just my backpack.
Okay. All right, you're all set.
Perfect.
And you're flying out of E68.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
So it turns out it was actually kind of my fault. I was supposed to pre-upload my passport and some other documents, and I kind of forgot to do that. But thankfully customer service was super nice and they got everything sorted out for me super quick. But now that we have our boarding pass, it's time to go find the gate and the lounge, which I am super excited for. But before I did that, I decided to explore the main terminal, since Tampa International was ranked the #1 large airport in all of the United States. What makes this place so unique is the central hub that branches out to all these smaller terminals, which is honestly quite impressive. The main terminal consisted of 3 levels, with the basement for arrivals, second floor for check-in and departures, while the top served as a main area for people to grab food and make any last-minute purchases. Today I was flying out of Terminal E, so after scanning my boarding pass and getting on the SkyTrain, I passed through security, and now it was time to explore the Delta Sky Club lounge.
How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Well, whenever you're ready, just scan your boarding pass right there for me, please. Gate E68, boarding will begin at 6:20.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Enjoy your stay.
This Delta Sky Club lounge was located right above security, which gave a bird's eye view of the entire terminal. This lounge was divided into 2 main areas, one of which had the primary seating and bar, while the other featured a fax machine, conference room, and private pods for people traveling on business. But now what really matters is the food. This lounge really surprised me with the overall presentation of things, because everything was nicely arranged to feel high-end. For breakfast, I had many options, ranging from fresh fruits and pastries to cheese omelets, turkey sausages, breakfast potatoes, and much more. I opted to go for a fresh muffin, fruit, French toast, yogurt, and a cinnamon bun, which all tasted so good that I decided to go for seconds just so I could try the main dishes. And my only complaint would be the plastic cutlery and plates, but overall the food was delicious. Now that I finished my meal, it was time to head to the gate for the first of 2 flights today, so I packed up, said my goodbyes, and headed down to the terminal. Okay, so the Sky Club Lounge officially gets a thumbs up. The staff was nice, the food was good, so overall I'd have to say it was a very, very good experience. But now my first flight is gonna be boarding in about 20 minutes, and I forgot to mention that I actually have 2 first class flights today. And to make things even better, it's gonna be on 2 completely different aircraft, which means it's gonna be 2 completely different experiences. So we're gonna head to the gate right now for our first flight, and hopefully boarding is gonna start in just a few minutes. And luckily, as I made my way through the busy terminal, I arrived at my gate just as boarding had started.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Today my flight was on an Airbus A320, which unfortunately wasn't one of their newer aircraft with the Delta One first class, but nevertheless I was still very excited. Somehow I bought both of my first class tickets today for only $368, which was an absolute steal. On the first flight of the day, I was in seat 1A, which was right at the front of the plane, and something that is completely new for me. As soon as I boarded the plane, I was greeted by friendly flight attendants and made my way to my seat, where I immediately noticed how big and comfortable it was compared to economy, which I've been flying my entire life. The next thing I noticed was how much legroom I actually had before checking out the in-flight entertainment. Delta had tons of movies and shows to choose from, which is quite impressive compared to Canadian Airlines. And it was also cool to see they had an entire section dedicated to the information of the plane. Soon after taking my seat, I was given fresh orange juice to start the flight, and before I knew it, we were pushing back from the gate and heading towards the runway. Today's first flight was 2 hours and 44 minutes from Tampa Bay, Florida to LaGuardia, New York City, and after taxiing, we started barreling down the runway for takeoff. Now that we were in the sky, I decided to do some further investigation around my seat, where I noticed plenty of wear and tear around the armrest and center console, but even more near the floor and wall in front of me. Obviously, this is normal for a plane that sees so much service, so I turned my attention to breakfast by taking out the armrest, where a lovely flight attendant placed a napkin for my meal. On this morning's flight, I was served a fresh croissant, a bowl of fruit, and French toast, which was absolutely delicious. After finishing my meal, I decided to do the usual bathroom review, which was genuinely quite nice with all the normal amenities. But the only problem was the dirt and damage around the edging, and on top of that, the floor was extremely sticky, which was super gross. After returning to my seat, I realized we would soon be landing, but unfortunately there was a high possibility it would be happening during a thunderstorm. On approach, I saw lightning out the window, and with next to no visibility, we broke through the clouds and came in for landing. And remember, this was only the first of 2 flights in first class, and the next was taking off in under 30 minutes. So I had to sprint across the airport to see if I'd make it or not.
All right, so that was the first flight, and now we have the second flight happening right now, but I have no idea where the gate is, and apparently it's boarding in literally 10 minutes. So we're gonna be cutting this one pretty close. Apparently it is that way. I just talked to the customer service lady, and apparently it is literally on the other side of the airport.
And to give you a little bit of a visual for how far I actually needed to go, this is where my plane arrived, and this is where my plane was departing from.
Oh my God, 13 minutes away. Yeah, we are definitely not gonna be making this one. Unfortunately, no time for the lounge this time. We are still so far away. 8 minutes to go. Well, one thing's for sure, I'm definitely getting my steps in, because this is a workout. Hopefully this is it. Gate 65, and we made it. There we go.
Thank you.
Very
You all set?
Have a good one.
For today's second flight, I was on a Bombardier, which is a much smaller jet mainly used to connect outside airports to main hubs. Just like my first flight, I was super excited to see what the first class experience would be like, especially compared to the bigger Airbus. After getting on the plane, I made my way to seat 3D, which was a window seat. Unlike my first flight, there was no in-flight entertainment, but this made sense especially because these planes are only used for quick connecting flights. Immediately, I noticed the button to recline, and luckily this time worked, and I can confirm it made the seat even better. As for the rest of the seat, it was almost identical to the one from the first flight, but this time I spotted a nice groove in the center console for resting your arm in. Since I had rushed to make this flight, I was one of the last on board, so after getting seated, we soon pushed back from the gate and started taxiing to the runway. For today's flight, we'd be flying an hour and 20 minutes from LaGuardia to Pearson International Airport, back home in Toronto. And after making it onto the runway, soon enough we were barreling down for takeoff with New York City in the background. After getting in the sky, the flight attendant came around with snacks and drink orders, where I got a glass of white wine and a chocolate cookie, which turned out to be amazing. Now that I was in the sky, I decided to explore the seat a little bit more, where there was an expected lamp and air conditioning above me, plenty of leg and bag room, and even lots of pockets if you're the type of person to put things in the seat in front of you. Since it was a smaller plane, the overhead bins weren't the biggest, and the best way to describe the experience so far was complete relaxation. Soon after finishing up, I explored the bathroom, which was absolutely disgusting from other passengers, but besides that, it did have everything you'd expect in a plane's bathroom. After returning to my seat, it turned out we were quickly approaching Toronto, since it was such a short flight, and before you knew it, we were coming in for landing. So now the big question remains, is Delta good and would I fly there first class again? Overall, I was quite pleased with the entire experience, and if you're able to get it for as cheap as I did, I highly recommend trying it out at least once. Now, if you were to pay full price, I'd probably skip the first class because on such short flights, you wouldn't be able to truly enjoy the experience. And on top of that, it isn't the famous Delta One first class. Overall, I was very happy with Delta and I would definitely fly them again.